And joining us live on this week's show from Lexington, KY is Jeff Sheppard. You'll remember that name, former All-SEC basketball player from the University of Kentucky in the late 1990s. And this guy has the distinction of being on 3 Kentucky teams that went to 3 straight national championship games. 1996, they beat Syracuse in the championship game. 97, they lost to Arizona. And 98, they won it again, beating Utah in San Antonio. So Jeff Sheppard has 2 national championship rings. He's been to 3 national championship games, so this guy is very familiar with the Final Four in March Madness. Jeff, let's go back to your first time. 1996, you beat Syracuse in the national championship game. Give me your memories of that Final Four and that game.
Well, it was our first national championship. We had a lot of pressure on our team in 1996 to win. We had a team that was just loaded with talent, and we had a coach in Rick Pittino that was probably the best coach in college basketball that had never won a national championship. So coach individually had a lot of pressure on him, and we had just a tremendous season. We had been in the top 4 teams in the country the whole year. We only had 2 losses, one early in the season to UMass, and then one in the finals of the SEC tournament to Mississippi State. So we were one of the favorites to win the tournament. And so when we won, there was a bit of relief, but definitely a lot of celebration for us to finally win a championship after Kentucky had been on probation in the late 80s, and to come off of probation for Coach Pittino to rebuild the program and finally get back to the pinnacle that all the Kentucky fans demand and expect, that national championship.
Jeff, what role on that team in the 1996 season?
I sat on the bench. No, I got to play a little bit. I was the backup shooting guard for Tony Delk, and Tony Delk was the MVP of the 96 Final Four and had just a tremendous season. But we all played a considerable part. No individual on the 96 championship team played more than 26 minutes a game. And if you remember those Kentucky teams back then, we used to press full court, trap the whole game. And so it took a lot of energy from us, but it took a lot of energy out of our opponents. And we really had the ability to turn the other team over and get easy baskets and easy three-point shots. And so we all played a lot.
The next year, you actually redshirt. You sit out 96, 97. The Cats go back to the Final Four. You lose the national championship game to Arizona. The next year, your senior season, you come back. And you're under a brand new head coach. First-year head coach Tubby Smith comes in. But you guys go back to the Final Four. You win another national championship game beating Utah in San Antonio. And you're named the most outstanding player in that Final Four, which, Jeff, that had to climax a Cinderella of a senior season for you in 1998.
Well, we had to immediately deal with a coaching transition as Coach Pittino left to go to the Boston Celtics, and our athletic director at the time, C.M. Newton, came and talked to us and told us that he was pursuing Tubby Smith, and we were excited about Coach Smith because he had been at Kentucky as an assistant coach. We had played against his Georgia teams and knew how hard-nosed and competitive they were and had a lot of respect for Coach Smith. So when he got to campus at UK, he immediately made a lot of strides to build the unity of our team by getting to know us, and we had a short time to accomplish a very big goal. And we had a veteran team with some seniors and juniors who had a lot of experience playing in the SEC, but also playing in the NCAA tournament and the Final Four. So that's the transition that we had to make, and Coach Smith did a wonderful job of making that transition. But as we got into the beginning of the season, we were playing good, but not great. We were able to win some close games and lose a few games as well early in the season. But the last game we lost was to Ole Miss at Rupp Arena, and after we lost that game, we really had a heart-to-heart meeting with everybody on the team, and we all got on the same page, and we made a phenomenal run through the SEC tournament and then on to the NCAA tournament. And just it was a classic example of a team that had a nice assembly of talent, but a phenomenal attitude and togetherness that helped us to win a national championship for the University of Kentucky.
Jeff, your memories of the championship game against Utah, the Final Fours down in San Antonio that year. You scored 16 points in the championship game. You win the Most Outstanding Player award of the Final Four that year. You're down by 10 at halftime, as I remember, and then that was the largest deficit for anyone to overcome to finally come back and win a game in the national championship. Your memories of that game, how it went?
Well, we were searching for a nickname in 1998 because all the great teams in Kentucky basketball history have these catchy nicknames, the Fiddlin' Five and Rups Runts and the Unforgettables. And so we got down in all those games on purpose, Ken, so that we could make those comebacks and the Kentucky fans would remember us as the Comeback Cats. But, you know, in all seriousness, we seem to always find ourselves down in these games, especially the regional finals against Duke, the semifinals against Stanford, and there we were against Utah in the final game, and sure enough, down 10 points going into halftime. But a story that sticks in my mind that I remember so vividly is Coach Smith explaining his vision, what he saw as both teams, Utah and Kentucky, ran off the floor to go to their locker room at halftime, because he saw a Utah team that was tired and carried themselves in a way that he said looked like they were the team that was losing by 10 points. And he saw a Kentucky team that ran off the floor with some excitement, with our head up, and we hustled off the floor like we had the momentum and we were winning by 10 points. And so that story kind of says it all about our team. Even though we were down by 10 points and in a very difficult situation to have to make a comeback in the championship game, we didn't care. You know, our attitude and our mindset was we're going to come back and we're going to win the game, and we were able to do that. And as simple as that sounds, it's very hard to execute, and it takes a great coach and a great coaching staff and a great team chemistry, and things clicking at the right time for us in 1998, and that's why we were able to pull that game out and bring the championship home to Lexington.
We're visiting live with Jeff Sheppard, former All-SEC basketball player at the University of Kentucky, live from Lexington, KY this week. And there's some great video of you bear-hugging Tubby Smith after that championship game win. So you've obviously you've won 2 national championships under 2 different head coaches, Rick Pittino and Tubby Smith. Give me your thoughts playing under both of those legendary coaches. What's the difference in their coaching styles and how they dealt with their players?
Well, first of all, I'm so fortunate to be able to learn the game of basketball from those 2 leaders and coaches, but also learn a little bit about the game of life from those 2 coaches and leaders. And there's so many lessons that now, as a father and a business person, that I can apply to my life and that I'll never forget. On the basketball court, you know, Coach Pittino is a phenomenal motivator and has a track record of taking programs and building programs. And Coach Pittino, I guess, could motivate you with his words to make you run through a brick wall for him. Coach Smith was a little bit different in that he motivated us through a relationship. You know, he really built a relationship with his players so that we would run through a brick wall for Coach Smith even if he didn't say anything. And I can remember practices late in the season, in our 1998 season, when Coach Smith wouldn't say much at all. He would just be putting a game strategy together, and his assistant coaches would be leading practice. And the energy and the effort and the enthusiasm was still there. He didn't have to yell and scream at us. Coach Pittino took the opportunity, though, to yell and scream at us whenever he could. But obviously, both very successful coaches, great motivators, and once again, I'm so blessed and fortunate to be able to play and sit and learn under those two head coaches.
Jeff, so you wrap up your college career with 2 national championship rings in your pocket. You're pretty much on top of the world. Give us your career path right out of college for the next several years.
Well, went to the NBA and played there for the Atlanta Hawks, and I tell everybody that I scored 40 points for the Atlanta Hawks. Of course, that's not in one game, that's in my career. So I had a short-lived career with the Atlanta Hawks, playing 1 season with them. And then I played 3 seasons over in Italy. Had a great time playing basketball over there. Came home after the September 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks. Came home and stopped playing basketball. Didn't really want to, but thought that was something that I needed to do. We just had a baby girl, our daughter that was born, and so it was time for me to transition into the next area of my life.
Jeff, I want to know about your heroes real quick as we kind of wrap up here. I was a high school basketball junkie myself in the state of Arkansas, and growing up, I'm a lot older than you, but my heroes were guys like Jerry West in the NBA and Walt Frazier and Earl the Pearl Monroe, and in college, Pistol Pete Maravich and the Bill Walton UCLA days and guys like that. When you were growing up in those early junior high and high school days, who were some of your basketball heroes?
Well, in 6th grade, our school teacher came into our class and asked us to write a paper. And we had to title the paper, "If we could trade places with anybody in the world, who would it be?" And in my paper, I wrote I would trade places with Larry Bird and play for the Boston Celtics. But first, I wrote in my paper, I want to play for the University of Kentucky in the Final Four. And so I was able to live out my dream to play at the University of Kentucky in a Final Four. I never got to play for the Boston Celtics, but I did get to play against the Boston Celtics. As a matter of fact, I got to play against a Rick Pittino coached Boston Celtics team. And I got to play for my hometown Atlanta Hawks. And so it was a very neat experience. But Larry Bird was my guy. That's who I loved watching play. Of course, Michael Jordan was a phenomenal, player as I was in high school and in college, and we all watched and got to see him win so many championships in Chicago. But Larry Bird was probably at the top of my list.